Most of the world has been mapped, tracked, and photographed. Yet far from cities and roads, there are places that still feel disconnected from modern life. From a river in South America that turns into living color, to a stone city built directly on a coral reef in the Pacific, these aren't just landmarks. They don't behave like normal places. In this journey, we're visiting 15 of the most isolated points on Earth. A volcano that supports a village, a forest made of stone, and a single rock that dominates the horizon for miles. Some places are hard to film, harder to explain, and almost impossible to forget. In Mangystau, western Kazakhstan, there's a striped hill sitting alone on a flat salt plain. This is Gora Bokty, famous for its clean layers of white, yellow, red and brown, stacked like a dessert. People link this area with the Tiramisu hills of Kizilkup nearby, because the slopes look like sliced cake. Bokty fits that same look perfectly. This mountain is around 165 meters high, and its layers are old sediments left from a time when this region was covered by an ancient sea, later shaped by wind and rain. This alienscape is simple to explain, but hard to forget. A natural layer cake in the steppe, which you can spot from far away. In Kenya's Great Rift Valley, the land breaks open into cliffs, gorges, and steaming ground. This is Hell's Gate National Park. The park is named after a narrow volcanic gorge. Hell's Gate Gorge cuts deep into the park, with narrow walls of volcanic rock rising high on both sides. The gorge was shaped by ancient lava flows, erosion, and geothermal activity. In some places, it becomes so tight that sunlight barely reaches the ground. Steam vents, hot springs, and warm rock surfaces show how close this area still is to Earth's internal heat. Today, tall rock walls, sharp basalt cliffs, and open plains dominate the landscape. Unlike most African parks, visitors can walk, cycle, or drive through Hell's Gate. There are no dangerous predators roaming the open plains, which makes this park unique on the continent. The park is home to zebras, giraffes, buffalo, and many antelope species. High cliffs also support one of Africa's most important vulture nesting sites. Hell's Gate is widely believed to have inspired the landscapes of Disney's The Lion King, especially Pride Rock and the surrounding Rift Valley scenery. On the tiny island of Corvo, the smallest island in the Azores, there is a huge volcanic crater sitting right at the center. This is the Caldeirão of Corvo, a collapsed volcano that forms a wide bowl in the ground. Inside the crater are small lakes, green fields, and low hills, all contained within steep, circular walls. From above, it looks like a landscape placed inside another landscape. The crater was formed thousands of years ago, when the volcano collapsed inward instead of erupting outward. Over time, rainwater collected at the bottom, creating shallow lakes. The small islets inside the lake are often said to represent the islands of the Azores. And this idea became popular among locals and visitors, even though it's symbolic rather than exact. What makes this place feel unreal is its scale. Corvo Island itself is tiny, yet this massive crater dominates almost the entire island. When clouds move in, the Caldeirão can disappear completely, then reappear minutes later. Along the Lena River in eastern Siberia, long stone towers line the riverbank for miles. These are the Lena Pillars, standing quietly above the water in Russia's Yakutia region. The shapes look sharp and vertical, almost like walls or columns placed side by side. Some rise close to 100 meters, and they continue far into the distance. The rock here is extremely old. These layers formed when this land was once under a shallow sea, long before rivers or forests existed. Over time, freezing winters and slow erosion cracked the rock, separating it into tall pillars instead of smooth cliffs. The best way to see them is from the river. As the boat moves forward, the pillars don't end, they just keep repeating, one after another. Nan Madol sits off the island of Pohnpei in the Federated States of Micronesia. It looks like a city broken into pieces, stone walls on dozens of small man-made islets with tidal canals running between them. That's why people call it the Venice of the Pacific. Builders stacked huge basalt columns with coral fill, creating a ceremonial capital for the Saudalur dynasty. Most of the main building happened roughly between 1200 and 1500 CE. The big mystery is still the same: how so much heavy stone was moved and placed across a lagoon, especially in a place with no written records from that time. Local history tells a famous story of two brothers, Olisipa and Olosopa, said to have used powerful magic to help build Nan Madol. Nan Madol has shown up in modern media too, including Lost Cities with Albert Lin, National Geographic, and Netflix's Ancient Apocalypse. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a real ocean city in ruins, still sitting in the water where it was built. Takamaka Falls is a powerful group of waterfalls in Saint-Benoît, on the eastern side of Réunion Island. The river drops through a wide green valley, with water splitting and rejoining as it moves over layered rock and steep slopes. Surrounded by dense forest and mist, the falls show the raw energy of water in one of the island's deepest landscapes. Pico do Fogo is an active volcano on the island of Fogo in Cape Verde. It dominates the island's shape, climate, and daily life. At 2,829 meters, it is the highest point in the country, and the reason this island exists at all. The volcano sits inside a large collapsed crater called Chá das Caldeiras. Villages are built inside this crater, directly on volcanic ground. People live and farm here despite the risk. The volcanic soil is extremely fertile. Grapes grow well on these slopes, and local wine is made from vines planted directly into black ash and rock. The taste comes from the land itself. Fogo wine is one of the most unusual wines in the Atlantic islands. Pico do Fogo has erupted many times in recent history, including major eruptions in 1951, 1995, and 2014. Lava destroyed homes and fields, but people returned and rebuilt. The mountain is made of dark lava flows, ash plains, and sharp slopes, with little vegetation near the summit. The mountain hasn't finished shaping this island, and everyone here knows it. Semuc Champey is found deep in the jungle of eastern Guatemala. At first glance, it looks like a series of calm turquoise pools stacked one after another. But underneath them, a powerful river is flowing out of sight. The Cahabon River disappears under a natural limestone bridge, and on top of that bridge, these clear pools formed over thousands of years. The water you see is calm, while the river below keeps moving fast and loud. The pools are filled with mineral-rich water, which gives them their bright blue and green colors. Small waterfalls connect each level, and the depth changes from shallow edges to deeper sections in the center. The name Semuc Champey comes from the local Quechua Maya language and means where the river hides under the earth. People in this region have known about this place long before it appeared on maps. Nylon Pool sits in the middle of the sea, just off the coast of Tobago. It's a natural sandbar where the water stays shallow, clear and calm, even though open ocean surrounds it. Boats stop here, and people step straight into waist-deep water, far from any beach. The sandbar formed from coral and sand, slowly building up over time, shaped by currents rather than waves. That's why the water stays so still. The name Nylon Pool comes from how smooth the water feels. Locals say it's as soft as fabric when you stand in it. Because the sandbar shifts naturally, its size and shape can change slightly from year to year, depending on tides and storms. Wadi Al Disah lies in the northwest of Saudi Arabia, near the border with Jordan. Tall sandstone cliffs line the valley, rising straight up on both sides. Between them runs a narrow green corridor of palms, grasses and fresh water, something rare in this part of the Arabian desert. Water flows through the wadi year-round, fed by underground springs. Because of this, farms and small settlements developed here long before modern roads reached the region. The rock walls show layers shaped by wind and water over millions of years. The contrast is what stands out most: desert plateaus above and a quiet green valley below, hidden between stone walls. Wadi Al Disah exists because water found a way through the desert and never stopped. In western Serbia, the Drina River flows fast and cold between steep banks. Right in the middle of the river sits something that feels completely out of place: a small wooden house balanced on a single rock. The house stands on a natural stone in the river near the town of Bashta. It looks fragile, but it has been rebuilt many times since the 1960s. Local swimmers first built it as a place to rest, using planks carried by boat and rope. When floods destroyed it, they rebuilt it again, over and over. That's what makes this place special. The river keeps trying to remove it, and people keep putting it back. It's not just a house, it's a survivor. The house has survived strong currents, ice flows, and rising water. At times, it disappears completely during floods, then returns once the water drops. It became internationally known after photos spread online and through travel magazines, turning it into one of Serbia's most photographed landmarks. In the open desert of northwestern New Mexico, a dark rock formation rises far above the flat land around it. Nothing else nearby comes close to its height or shape. This is shiprock. The formation is the exposed core of an ancient volcano. Millions of years ago, molten rock hardened deep underground. Over time, the softer land around it eroded away, leaving this solid volcanic neck standing alone. Long stone ridges stretch outward from the main peak like frozen waves. These are volcanic dikes, rock that once filled cracks underground and later became exposed as the land wore down. For the Navajo people, shiprock is sacred. According to their tradition, it carried their ancestors across the land and came to rest here. Because of this, climbing the rock is not allowed. Shiprock feels unreal because it doesn't blend into the landscape at all. It stands apart, sharp, dark, and isolated, like something placed there rather than formed slowly by nature. In central Colombia, a small river flows through open plains and low hills. What makes it different is not the water, but what lies beneath it. This river is Caño Cristales. For a few months each year, the riverbed shows red, yellow, green, blue, and black colors. The colors come from a rare aquatic plant called Micronesia clavigera. It grows attached to the rocks. When sunlight reaches it and the water level is stable, the plant changes color. If the river is too deep, light cannot reach the plants. If it is too shallow, they dry out. Only a narrow balance allows the colors to appear. Caño Cristales flows through Serranía de la Macarena, a protected region where three major river ecosystems meet. The color cycle happens naturally, then fades, then returns again every year. Devil's Tower stands alone on the plains of northeastern Wyoming, rising sharply from flat land. There are no nearby mountains, just this single rock column. The tower is made of volcanic rock that cooled underground millions of years ago. As the surrounding land slowly eroded, the harder rock stayed behind, leaving the structure exposed. Its sides are marked by long vertical cracks that form natural stone columns. These shapes formed as the rock cooled and contracted, splitting evenly from top to bottom. For many Native American tribes, this place is sacred. Legends describe the tower forming as the ground rose to protect people, while deep, claw-like marks were left by animals trying to reach them. Devil's Tower became widely known after appearing in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where it was shown as a mysterious meeting point. Mount Roraima lies at the meeting point of Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, in the Guyana Highlands. It is one of South America's great Tepui mountains, flat-topped plateaus with sheer vertical cliffs formed from rock nearly 2 billion years old. The summit is wide, open, and shaped by constant rain. Instead of smooth ground, the surface is broken and uneven, carved directly into sandstone by water over time. Natural stone potholes, shallow basins, and rounded depressions spread across the plateau. On the summit, rainwater gathers in smooth rock pools and hollows. Some are small and circular, often called the jacuzzis of Roraima. Gladys Lake, a dark, still pool, rests directly on bare rock and is fed only by rainfall. The terrain feels strange and fragmented. Rounded pits sit beside sharp edges, isolated rock towers, and hoodoo-like shapes formed by long erosion. Because the summit is isolated, life here evolved differently. Small frogs, such as the Roraima black frog, live only on these high plateaus, adapted to constant moisture and bare stone. Even today, Mount Roraima's summit continues to be studied. Scientists and explorers visit because much of its geology and wildlife remain poorly understood, making this plateau one of the few places on Earth where new species are still being discovered. Our planet never stops proving that reality is often more extraordinary than anything we could imagine. Out of these 15 places, which one amazed you the most? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and your feedback helps shape what comes next. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.